And this is Weaponized. Has there been a moment that just solidified for you, where you no longer have the luxury of disbelief that there is a phenomenon going on, that it includes UFOs? Was there one thing that you can put your finger on that says that did something to my way of looking at it?
Well, there were probably two events that happened very, very quickly. Right after Robert Bigelow purchased Skinwalker Ranch in 1996, it was around August of 1996. I and Eric Davis and to some extent other people were deployed up on the property for, 5-day tours, 10-day tours, whatever. But, in 1996, I remember standing outside the Homestead One near this newly built command and control center that we had just installed on the property. I was standing there with, I believe it was Eric Davis, when coming from over Skinwalker Ridge, which is the cliff that borders the northern edge of Skinwalker Ranch. Right over the cliff comes this very brightly lit, low-flying object that was completely silent, and it came from the north, flew right over myself and Eric Davis, and did a perfect hairpin turn right above us, silent. And it was low enough that it's very difficult to estimate altitude at night, but this was a it was moving probably as fast as you see a lot of F-18s flying around Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas. It was flying at least as fast as that, but what really caught my eye was this incredibly sharp 180-degree turn, and then just kind of went back and followed its exact track, disappeared north over Skinwalker Ridge, and it was low enough that we should have heard something. I mean, we could see it very, very brightly lit, and there was a spooky silence associated with it. And I knew sort of deep in my sort of gut that this was something else. I mean, it was very, very, it was a perfectly executed hairpin turn. I think the G-forces that would have been sort of imparted to a pilot on this thing, and this was 1996, would have been absolutely enormous. I mean, we're talking strawberry jam around the
Wow.
cockpit.
Yeah, so you see this with your own eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I was standing looking at this thing as it executed this perfect turn right above my head.
So that gave you a personal,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
what's
there's
going on here?
something different because, I mean, we had seen stuff that we couldn't really sort of, get our teeth into. This was really kind of in your face, and that happened within 2 months of being deployed on the property. The second major thing happened a few months later. We were standing, and again, Eric Davis was there. We were standing out in this small pasture near Homestead 2, what's called Homestead 2 or used to be called Homestead 2 on Skinwalker Ranch. And we had 2 dogs with us, and probably 100 feet to my left, maybe 50 yards to my left, suddenly out of nowhere, this basketball-sized object appeared about 15 feet above the ground. It was brightly lit, silent, and it just moved around. Both myself and Eric Davis were looking at it, and then it maintained. The dogs were very silent. They were right beside us when this was happening, but then it vanished. I mean, it just kind of disappeared.
So this is Dr. Eric Davis, who
Right.
has worked in these government UFO programs,
Right.
who's a brilliant scientist. So you guys are standing there, and this is the second thing that really kind of shows you in your face. You're saying basketball sized at a relatively close distance?
Yeah, it was probably 15 feet off the ground and probably 50 yards to our south. Now, this is a very small pasture, bounded by trees on either side.
And pitch black night, like
I
dark.
mean, yeah, we're talking close to midnight here. We were on a night watch. We were actually there to check out a report from another investigator who had seen weird lights around this homestead too. So we were there the following night to see if we could see
Oh,
anything.
okay. So where your cameras, where your video cameras? That's
Well, Eric Davis had a pair of night vision binoculars. I had a pair. I mean, this was 1996, so I had a camera with infrared film. Back in the old days when we used to use film, infrared film in the camera. So this happened probably 3 to 4 or 5 seconds.
Okay.
So this was not a thing where we sort of set up the camera on a tripod and start filming kind of thing. This was boom, and then it was gone. But we did have these incredibly powerful flashlights that law enforcement used. I mean, there were these massive batteries. I mean, these 20-pound batteries that you would carry. And we lit up the pasture within a second of this thing disappearing. I mean, we lit up everything. And, you know, first hypothesis is that somebody was playing a trick with us, or, you know, somebody was projecting something from somewhere. But we could find no evidence whatsoever of anybody except us in this pasture.
And it's dangerous to go, like, going to Skinwalker Ranch and just also live in rural myself. Like, it's dangerous to go walk on people's property. I mean, it is like a major thing to be sneaking around there. And you got an investigative team, government led, on that property. I know there have been some very serious security that was going on at that time, during some of the time you were working too. So it's wild to me that you get these two displays, and that does change. How does it change the way that you look at what you're doing now?
Well, you know that my personal experience encompasses now, as of 1996, 1997, objects that are very difficult to explain that I personally experienced. So, I mean, do I write a scientific paper about this? No. It's not reproducible. There's not enough evidence. These are transient phenomena, but the in-your-face nature of both of these events, and the way they happened and how they happened, changed my perspective, because now, you know, I've personally seen something that I can't explain.
And he saw things that were way more spectacular after that. Those are just the first ones. I mean, some of the things that we reported in the book, Hunt for the Skinwalker, were just mind-bogglingly weird.